Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Football Chuggu Podcast. My name is Thomas Durning, and today I'm joined by my co-host, Pearse McLaughlin. Hello, Pearse.
Hello, how you doing?
Doing well. On today's podcast, we will be reacting to last weekend's English Premier League results, also reacting to last weekend's Scottish Premier League results, also discussing last week's Champions League semi-final second legs and their outcome. We'll briefly discuss the announcement from Kylian Mbappe, and at the end of the podcast, Pearse will be giving a rundown of all the latest Asian football news. So we'll start off with last weekend's English Premier League results, as we always do. So on Saturday, the 11th of May, the results were Fulham 0, Manchester City 4, Bournemouth 1, Brentford 2, Everton 1, Sheffield United 0, Newcastle United 1, Brighton 1, Tottenham 2, Burnley 1, West Ham United 3, Luton Town 1, Wolves 1, Crystal Palace 3, Nottingham Forest 2, Chelsea 3. And then on Sunday, the 12th of May, there was only one match, which finished Man United 0, Arsenal 1. And then yesterday, which was Monday, the 13th of May, again, there was only one match, and that match finished Aston Villa 3, Liverpool 3. So just before we get into the results, just want to briefly touch on the fact that after Tottenham defeated Burnley 2-1 on Saturday, that meant that Burnley have been relegated to the Championship in England. So that's now two teams down in the Premier League, which are Sheffield United and now Burnley. So Pearse, as always, which match stands out to you the most?
Probably go with the Monday Night Football action in terms of Aston Villa and Liverpool, which finished 3-3, high-scoring game. And that's now effectively Liverpool out of the title race mathematically. And I thought, obviously, similar to a bit of like kind of 80s music, Duran Duran was there to save the day, got a double towards the end of the game.
Oh dear.
Sorry about your analogy there. No, Liverpool are 3-1 up. But as we know this season, that Aston Villa are a quality side under Unai Emery, and there's no surprise that they went and got the draw. And they showed that winning mentality, and the subs effectively come on and change the game. They've got a really good squad, Aston Villa, and looking to cement that place in the top four in terms of Champions League football next season. So that's a massive monumental step for Aston Villa, which will be it's a exciting race for that top four finish between them and Tottenham, who obviously beat Burnley, like you said, at the weekend. And that obviously signals Burnley's relegation to the Championship, and that's now the two of the three promoted sides relegated. And obviously Luton fight to live another day. It's a sad state of affairs if all three promoted clubs get relegated, and it just shows you the golfing class in terms of in finances, in terms of the Championship and the Premier League. And then obviously my final match that I think stand out to me was probably not in terms of a spectacle, was the game on Sunday between Man United and Arsenal. It's a pretty sad state of affairs in terms of Man United Stadium. It looked an absolute shambles in terms of structural flooding all over the place. It just needs in desperate need of repair. And also Man United didn't really do much in the match. They've also got a wholesale list of injuries, but wasn't the greatest game. But as an Arsenal point of view, and obviously the fact is the Premier League title race is still alive because Arsenal got the goal that they needed through Trossard, who's been kind of one of their kind of key players this season. Although he's not a guaranteed starter, he always seems to pop up with the really important goals, whether it be in the Carabao Cup, FA Cup, Champions League, or the league. He's proved to be a really astute signing by Mikel Arteta, and obviously keeps Arsenal in their shout in terms of the title race. But they three are my standout fixtures.
Yep. My match that stands out to me the most is the Man United 0, Arsenal 1 match. The reason it stands out to me, it's not necessarily the match that was played, because it wasn't the most, as you said, it wasn't the most amazing match to watch, but it was just how significant that result is. And because Arsenal have now won that match, the title won't be decided until the last day of the season, which is next Sunday. So so that's just how significant it was. Obviously, in terms of the match, first, as I just said, it wasn't great. Arsenal were really comfortable. Arsenal didn't play well. I thought Arsenal played in second gear, really the full match. Didn't really think they really played anywhere near as good as they have played this season. And Man United just didn't really have any quality whatsoever in the match. And they had a lot of the ball, Man United, in the second half, but they didn't at all threaten Arsenal's defence, who were rock solid and didn't let anything go past them. So I always said, I think I said it in the podcast last week, where I thought that this would be the match where you really see if Arsenal, I kind of thought Arsenal would slip up in this match, but the fact that they haven't and they've took it to the last day is fair play to them, because they just keep ticking off these big matches. That's a really good win for them. And as I said, just that's them now taking it to the last day. Obviously, Man City, they won 4-0 at the weekend, so nothing really changed there. So in the title race, we also know that's going down to the last day. And then obviously just briefly touching on last night's match, which was a pretty significant result for Aston Villa, because that's now them in touching distance to reach the Champions League, which is a huge achievement for them. And it was a really good match last night. I thought Liverpool had so much control in the match, and then all of a sudden, as you said with your joke, that Duran just came out of nowhere and it turned the game in its head, and Aston Villa could actually win at the end. I think Moussa Diaby had a one-on-one chance at the end to make it 4-3, but it was a really good save from Alisson. So just in terms of excitement, I thought it was worth mentioning Aston Villa Liverpool. We actually, just staying on the Premier League, so we have just said that the title race will go down to the last day. But today, at the time of recording this, in a few hours' time, Tottenham will play Man City in what is probably the biggest match of the season in the Premier League, because if Man City don't win that, then it's probably Arsenal going to win the title. But if Man City win that game, then they're probably going to win the title. So this is probably a title decider match. So it's really exciting. And then obviously Tottenham, they still have a slim chance of making it into the Champions League spots. But they don't have control in that situation, because because Aston Villa got that draw last night. So I just wanted to ask you, Pearse, about that match specifically. Who do you think will win?
I think it's Man City winning it. Like you say, I think there's too big a gap between Aston Villa and Tottenham in terms of that fourth final position for Champions League. As the time of recording, we've got 5 points gap with a game in hand. Obviously, if Tottenham win, that's cut to 2. But even then, you've only got 1 game after that, and Aston Villa would then need to lose the game, or because even the goal difference is too big a gap. It's eight goals in it. So they'd have to lose the final match, and obviously Tottenham would have to win 2 in a row. And like you say, they've not been in great form recently. Even the match at the weekend, they kind of scraped it at home to Burnley. And obviously Man City are firing all cylinders at the moment. And you wouldn't back against Man City lifting the Premier League title again. But no, I think it will go down to the last day, and I think Man City will win. And I always like to say, I don't think Spurs would want to hand Arsenal the title, regardless of their own aspiration for top 4. I think as a club, as rivals, it just couldn't happen in terms of any football league. I think obviously that'll be the back of the mind that they'll maybe lose that 10%, 5% off it, and if you do that against Manchester City, they'll punish you. But I can only see a Manchester City win, and a pretty comfortable one at that.
Yeah, I think Man City will win. I don't know about comfortable, because I don't know if you remember that there's a stat where Man City have never won at Tottenham's new stadium in the league. They've actually never scored a goal in their whole at Tottenham's new stadium. They broke that curse in the FA Cup earlier in the year when they won 1-0. But in the league, Man City have never won there, and they've also never scored there. So I don't know if there's anything to that, but I don't think that'll happen tonight. I do think Man City will win. Recently the last few weeks have just turned into a different animal, which they always do when it comes to this time of the season. They just look ruthless. They're scoring goals for fun. They've even got Gavardio, who's a left back. He's scoring goals. I think he's got like 5 goals in like 6 games or something. He's got a really good goal scoring record at the moment. And then they've also got the main man Haaland up front. But obviously, there's this thing about Tottenham. Tottenham fans don't want their home team to win because of Arsenal, and like Ange Postecoglou, he wasn't really happy with that kind of statement. He was saying, he was quite determined that, oh no, we're definitely going to be looking to win this match, which you also would say. But no, I can't see anything but a Man City win. I think it will be tight in the match, but I think Man City will just have too much for Tottenham. And I do expect, and I do think Tottenham, Man City will go on to win the league title, which is going to be decided next Sunday. So, yeah. So I just thought it was worth mentioning that match because that match is on tonight at the time of recording this. And it's going to be a really, really exciting match. So we'll now move on to last weekend's Scottish Premier League results. So I'll just quickly go through them. So the results were Celtic 2, Rangers 1, Hearts 3, Dundee 0, Livingston 2, St Johnstone 1, Ross County 1, Motherwell 5, St Mirren 0, Kilmarnock 1. And then on Sunday, the 12th of May, we had one match which finished Hibs 0, Aberdeen 4. So there's only one place to start, isn't there? And that is the Celtic Rangers match. Obviously, that was the big match of the weekend in Scottish football, and that obviously just as I said, finished 2-1 to Celtic. So, Pearse, what was your thoughts on the match, and do you think Celtic deserved to win?
I do think Celtic deserved to win. I thought they played the better football at times. They had Rangers pinned back for the best part of an hour, and obviously to go 2-0 up quite early on. And that's obviously now the third time that's happened in Philippe Clement's tenure. That's now 3 matches in a row in the Glasgow Derby that they've went 2-0 behind, and then they start to play in the second half because obviously Celtic have kind of eased off a little bit, I think, and also just kind of shut up shop, make sure they don't lose the game. But I thought obviously we also got to talk about the main incident, which was John Lundstrom. I thought he did an absolute shocker. In terms of obviously scoring their own goal and then Rangers get back into it literally a couple of minutes later through Dessers, which kind of silenced Parkhead for a little bit. And then right before half time, he makes the most stupid decision in terms of going for a nothing ball at the pace he was going at, and then not even making any contact with the ball, and his studs were showing, and his leg was raised, and it was kind of going higher, and it was halfway up Alistair Johnson's leg. And for me, VAR made the right call. I thought it was, as soon as I seen the replay back, I was like, it's a straight red card. And thought the VAR officials done really well there because I thought that was a pretty straightforward decision. And also it was a mountain for Rangers to come back, and obviously Celtic got a penalty in the second half, which was then looked at by VAR. But obviously, a thing that we've never really seen is the referee sticking to his decision. Usually when you get called over to VAR monitor, they usually go with the VAR officials and overturn the decision. But I thought it was a correct decision. And obviously the penalty was missed through Jack Bolton's save. But in terms of the result, I thought obviously Celtic thought it deserved it, played nice stuff at times. I thought Rangers were kind of more just trying to stop Celtic and not try to play their own game. And I think they'll need to change that because I think they kind of feared Celtic a little bit and gave them too much respect. Because I've just seen obviously in the Ibrox game, the 3-3 in the second half when they came out, they actually put Celtic under a lot of pressure and created some joy. But I think with now that result, I think obviously pretty sure the title race is done in terms of the Scottish Premiership. I think Celtic only need a point in the last 2 games to win the league, so I think that's pretty much sealed the title because that was a title decider, and obviously 6 points with 2 games to go is a pretty big ask for Rangers to overturn that.
Yep. So obviously, agree with everything you just said there. Celtic did deserve to win the match, in my opinion, as well. I thought they started the match really well. I didn't think Rangers started the game well at all. Celtic got the goal from Matt O'Reilly, which was deserved. And then they got their second goal quickly after, and then you thought after that second goal that the floodgates were going to open, basically. I think a lot of people were expecting Celtic to win by 4 or 5 goals, but that didn't really happen because as soon as Celtic scored their second goal, Rangers went right up the pitch and got back in the game, made it 2-1, and everybody thought, okay, there's a match now. And then John Lundstrom made that challenge, which, you know, it was a straight red card. It was definitely a red card. You can't go in at that pace with your foot that high, and he caught Alistair Johnson pretty well. And yeah, it was a red card. And even the Rangers manager admitted as well that he did think it was a red card as well. So there was no real complaints from Rangers side. And also there was a in the commentary there was a bit of a debate about it, about the fact that one of the commentators came, well, he was very much against the decision. He didn't think it was, but I think he's going to get overruled quite big because I think most people thought that was a red card. But anyway, going on to the second half, Celtic did control Celtic did control the second half. They should have scored at least 2 or 3 more goals in that second half, but they didn't. And then that meant in the end of the match, Rangers were kind of with 10 men. They kind of grew into it. They were getting more confidence because they knew they were still in the match. And they kind of tried to go for it in the end, but they just didn't have enough. And Celtic, did go out winners, got the 3 points, and that is them now champions-elect now, basically. They play tomorrow. At the time of recording this, they play Kilmarnock away. And then if they either win or draw that match, they will be the champions once again. So, and just in terms of Rangers' performance, just going back to that, it seems to be a repeat of Rangers when they come to Celtic Park. Like every time they come to Celtic Park recently, I don't know, they never really start the game well. I always feel like when they come to Celtic Park, they're always on the back foot from the start, and they're always losing in the first half as well. And so I always seem to notice with Rangers is when they start going at least 1 or 2 goals down, that's when they start kind of playing, and that's when you start to see like the Rangers team. But they don't do this from the start, and that's been their problem the last few years because the games are getting decided between Celtic and Rangers where the title's going to go. And that's Celtic with 3 wins in Derby this season in the league. That's a really good turnout of results against Rangers because these games are the ones that are deciding where the title's going to go now. But yeah, I just thought it was worth to mention that the record that Rangers have got at Celtic Park is really, really poor. And that's where they're falling in recent years, and that's why they're not winning as much because they just can't seem to get over this hurdle of come to Celtic Park trying to get the 3 points or even get a draw out of it. Whereas Celtic, on the other hand, they are seeming to go to Ibrox and getting results, which is obviously harder, which is obviously difficult as well. So yeah, I just thought it was worth mentioning that.
Do you think that's a mentality thing then, Tom?
I think it is a mentality thing. I don't know why. Because we know Celtic Park do have more seats than Rangers fans. Than Ibrox. So I don't know. I don't know if you can read into that. I don't know. Maybe the Celtic Park's just a much more. I don't know. Maybe the Celtic fans just get right behind their team more than the Rangers fans get right behind Rangers when the game's at Ibrox. So I don't know. I don't know. I think it is a mental thing. I think a lot of the Rangers players, like at the start of the match, they never seem to be fully engaged in the match. It's not. I always seem to think that it's when they go behind in the match that is when they start playing. It happened last January. They got off to a slow start in the match. Celtic went ahead, and then it was towards the end of the match. That was when you started to see Rangers playing, and they could have got something out of the match. But it all seems to be too late. But going back to your point, then I do think it is a mental thing, in my opinion, and it's something that just can't kind of get past. But that might change next season because we all know that. I think Rangers have got some big decisions to make in the summer in terms of their squad because I think there's going to be a lot of change. So yeah, maybe next season that may be different because we know next season that the Rangers and Celtic fans are getting back into Ibrox and Celtic Park, so there will be away fans at this game next season. So there might be something different in that. I don't know. So we'll just move on to the other Scottish Premier League matches. So I just want to briefly touch on the fact that after that Hibs 0 Aberdeen 4 match, it was confirmed today that Hibs have sacked at Montgomery, as the board felt that the results were not up to standard. And yeah, Hibs have sacked at Montgomery. So I just wanted your reaction to that, Pearse.
I'm not really surprised, to be honest, because Hibs are not in the top six. They're currently sitting in ninth position, in the bottom six. And they've only had 10 wins all season, which is actually a terrible statistic. And obviously, like you say, the project was there for him to give him the long term. He had a decent start at Hibs. But if you're not winning football matches, you're going to be under serious pressure. And for a club the size of Hibs to not even be in the top six, you're going to be under serious pressure. And to obviously, the nail in the coffin was obviously that 4-0 defeat at Easter Road. And I think a lot of the fans have turned on him. So I think it was the right decision in terms of replacing him. But like you say, Hibs have kind of now got an evolving door of sacking managers, and it needs to end. They need to sign some consistency. They need to stick with a style of play and stop changing styles, so that way they can have a success in the future, because Hibs is a massive club and Hibs deserves to be in the top six pushing for Europe every season. It's not always a guarantee, but for Hibs to be sitting ninth in the league just above the relegation, it's not good enough, and yeah, I think the change needed to happen.
Yeah, I do think it was kind of. I do think it was needed to change. I think the change did need to happen because, I mean, they've only won league. They've only got 4 league wins since the 9th of December, which is, that's a pretty poor return. Hibs shouldn't be in the bottom six as well. And I think the result of the weekend was the final straw. Because losing 4-0 was a pretty heavy defeat, especially at home. So I think I wasn't so surprised when I heard the news, but I don't think this is a manager thing anymore. I think this is Hibs board level problem, because when I look at Hibs, I have no idea what kind of club they are. They just seem to be a club with no identity. They've got no playing style. The players are just getting turned over every season. There doesn't seem to be a kind of good core of players in that team. And they're just changing managers every single season. I think there's 5 managers they've had since 2019. You've had Paul Heckingbottom, Sean Maloney, Lee Johnson, Jack Ross, and now Nick Montgomery. So 5 managers in 5 years. There's just no consistency to that at all. And managers don't get time. Like, managers know they don't get time in football, but how are you supposed to build something if you're going to just get sacked if a manager's getting sacked basically every single 6 months, or they're not even lasting a year in the Hibs job anymore. So it's Hibs are in a really, really bad place at the moment. That there definitely has to be changes, in my opinion, at the board level, because there's something wrong there, because the managers that they're appointing, they just don't seem to believe in them at all, because they're not giving them that time. And I'm not saying that Montgomery deserves the time. I don't know. The results showed that maybe it didn't. Maybe it just wasn't going to work out. But yeah, Hibs should, where Hibs are as well, they definitely shouldn't be there. They should be at least challenging for the top 4, definitely challenging for 3rd place as well. And they've been nowhere near that the last few seasons. So yeah, definitely big problems at Hibs at the moment. And is there anything else, Pearse, from that from the results of the weekend? Is there a match that stand on a match?
One match that I'd just like to give a special mention to, and that's the Ross County 1, Motherwell 5. I don't know if you've seen Bliskettle's double at the weekend, but in particular, I think it was the second one, where he just bent it right in the top hand corner. And he's just having a tremendous season this year. That's now got 20 goals and assists combined in the league. And there's only 4 other players in the SPL that has got a higher statistics than that. And he's playing for a club that's just sitting above Hibernian in 8th position. So I just thought I'd special mention to Motherwell. Tremendous result, and obviously Bliskettle's been a revelation this season, and then he could be a wee wild card for the Scotland squad. I think he's been a tremendous player. From dead balls and goals, assists, he can play a variety of positions. I think he's just been a tremendous player. And that was the kind of the other result I wanted to mention.
Yeah, that's quite a worthy match to kind of talk about. I was going to actually touch on the Livingston 2, St Johnstone 1 match, because just in terms of St Johnstone, that's a really, really bad result for them, because that means that, because obviously with the match you just talked about, Motherwell 5, Ross County 1, St Johnstone didn't capitalise on it, and they got beat by already relegated Livingston, which means that St Johnstone still sit in the playoff position. And this week, I think it's tomorrow, there's a huge match between Ross County and St Johnstone, and that's going to decide probably who finishes in the relegation playoff this season. But yeah, I just wanted to briefly touch on that St Johnstone Livingston match, because I think that's a very, very poor result for St Johnstone, and I really worry for them, because they don't seem to have any goals in them, and they're in a really bad run of form at possibly the worst time of the season. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that. So yeah, we'll move on now to the Champions League results last week. So the Champions League semi-final second legs matches were played. So Real Madrid played Bayern Munich at the Bernabeu, and that finished 2-1 to Real Madrid. So that finished 4-3 in aggregate. So obviously, Bayern Munich took the lead on the night. They went 3-2 up, but Real Madrid done what Real Madrid always do. They kind of scored 2 last-minute goals to send themselves to the final. And then the other match was PSG versus Borussia Dortmund, and that finished 1-0 to Borussia Dortmund. So the final at Wembley Stadium will be between Real Madrid and Borussia Dortmund. So, Pearse, just want your thoughts on both the matches.
Yeah, I'm going to firstly just kind of mention, Tom, that you predicted a Dortmund Real Madrid final, and obviously you predicted the Glasgow Derby 2-1 to Celtic. So I'm just going to put the lottery numbers on the night.
Yeah, but that's absolutely I will do.
But in terms of the match in the Champions League, I thought in terms of the Dortmund PSG, that they literally won the game 1-0, 1-0. I thought they defended resolutely, and obviously PSG over the 2 ties hit the woodwork 10 times in terms of the crossbar or the post. I think Gonzalo Ramos had an absolute stinking in front of goal at the Parc des Princes. He has so many guilty chances that he just failed to take. And if that was falling to someone like Kylian Mbappe, it'd probably in the back of the net, and it might be a different story. But Dortmund defended brilliantly, and they thoroughly deserved to go to the Champions League final, and obviously where they'll face Real Madrid, who themselves look dead and buried like they have in most games, but they always have that winning mentality. But I think obviously in terms of the match itself, I think Thomas Tuchel will have a sleepless nights because of the substitutions they made. They took off like always attacking players and brought in defenders, and with 15 minutes to go, and took off Musiala, took off Kane, he took off Sané. Obviously Gnabry came off early with an injury, and he put on Kim Min Jae, and he virtually like a back 8, back 9, with Muller and Choupo-Moting kind of follow forward, and it didn't work out because obviously Neuer made a uncharacteristic error. Horsley pounced on it, and then he got a goal a couple of minutes later in the Bedlam, and Real Madrid to go through to the Champions League final, where for me they far deserved it. They did play better in the night. Neuer had a tremendous game, and he made about 6 or 7 really top class saves. But like you say, it was a close affair in both legs. And it was just another cracking night of Champions League action in terms of on Tuesday and the Wednesday. And obviously Dortmund versus Real Madrid. I can only see one winner for me, and that is Real Madrid, because they're just serial winners. But I think obviously the fairy tale story would be obviously Marco Reus in his final game for Dortmund after 12 years at the club. Will be the Champions League final in Wembley. So it's set for a fantastic affair. And obviously Real Madrid Dortmund have played several times in the Champions League, whether it be the knockout stages or the group stages, and they've always been close affairs, and they've always been high scoring. So I'm expecting the same But I'm expecting a Real Madrid win in the Champions League final, but I'm really looking forward to it in a few weeks' time.
Yeah, so obviously, just briefly touching on the semi-final matches. So, PSG, Borussia Dortmund, and I did predict Borussia Dortmund to go through. It did happen, and I thought Borussia Dortmund were brilliant on the night. Defensively, they were unreal. They defended for their lives, and PSG had so many chances. I think they hit the woodwork 6 times throughout the two legs, which is just ridiculous. They just couldn't get that goal in the second. They just couldn't get that goal throughout the whole tie. And Borussia Dortmund went through, and thoroughly deserved. And then in the other match, Real Madrid Bayern Munich. I actually thought on the night Real Madrid did deserve to win. I thought they were the better side. It was quite a surprise to see Bayern Munich go in front in the match, which was a really good finish from Alphonso Davies. And I actually was thinking Bayern Munich were going to go through. I had it all set in my head that it was going to be a all German final. And then, I should stop thinking these things when it comes to Real Madrid, because I don't know what it is with them in this competition. They just always find a way in the end. They always leave it until the last minutes of the game to win the match. They always do it, and it's such a good story to see Hosselu get the last 2 goals. He's been a Real Madrid supporter his full life. There's a recent photo of him in Paris when the Champions League final, watching Real Madrid in the Champions League final, and to see him now send his boyhood team to the final is a really good story. So yeah, Real Madrid versus Borussia Dortmund final. I'm really looking forward to it, and then towards the time, me and you will preview that match, and I think we already know who you think will win, but we'll go into a bit more detail about it just before the match starts, and so really look forward to it. So for the final part of the show, Pearse will now give his Asian football roundup.
Yeah, so start with K-League 1 action. On Saturday 11th of May, we had Incheon United 1, SCL 2, Daegu FC 3, Gwangju FC 2, Gangwon FC 3, Daejeon Hana Citizen 3. Sunday the 12th of May, we had Jeonbuk Hyundai Motors 2, Suwon FC 3, Pohang Steelers 1, Jeju United 1, Ulsan HD FC 2, Gimcheon Sangwoo 2. So it's leaving the table looking like this. At the top of the table, we have Pohang Steelers, 12 matches played, 25 points. Second position with Ulsan HD on 24 points, only played 11 games, so they've got a game to catch up on. And then Gimcheon Sangwoo, third position on 22 points with 12 matches played. And at the bottom half of the table, we have rock bottom, we have Jeonbuk Hyundai Motors sitting in 10 points. And then Daegu FC and Daejeon Hana Citizen both on 11 points. In 10th and 11th position respectively, seconded by 3 goals. And then 9th position we have Gwangju FC on 12 points, having played a game less. So we have a game on Wednesday the 15th of May, which is a catch-up game between Gwangju FC, where they host Ulsan HD FC, who are the current champions. And that is set for a 4:30 kickoff on Wednesday the 15th of May, which is also the Buddha's birthday, which is a public holiday here in South Korea. Which was, if a win for Gwangju FC would see them rise as high as 6th position in the league, and if Ulsan win, it will see them return to the top of the table. So in terms of J League 1 action, we had Saturday 11th of May, Alberts Niigata 2, Ure Diamonds 4, Jubilee 0, Sagan Tosu 3, Kyoto Sanga 2, Evispa Fukuoka 3, Kawasaki Frontale 3, Hoiko Console Sapporo 0, Shonan Bellmare 0, FC Machida Zelvia 0, Cerezo Osaka 1, Vissel Kobe 4, Nagoya Grampus 0, Gambo Osaka 1, FC Tokyo 3, Kashi Ureso 3, and then Sunday the 12th of May with Kashi Antlers 3, Tokyo Verde 3. And also on Wednesday we have more fixtures in terms of the J League 1 action. We have Alberts Niigata versus Yokohama Marinos, Hokuto Console Sapporo versus Jubilee Owata, Kashi Ureso versus Shonan Bellmare, FC Machida Zelvia versus Cerezo Osaka, Nagoya Grampus versus FC Tokyo, Sagan Tosu versus Kawasaki Frontale, Sanfrecce Hiroshima versus Kashi Antlers, and Tokyo Verde versus Gambo Osaka, Vissel Kobe versus Avispa Fukuoka, and Ure Diamonds versus Kyoto Sanga. They're all set for 7 p.m. kickoffs on Wednesday the 15th of May, apart from the last fixture, which is Ure Diamonds versus Sanga FC, which is set for a slightly later kick-off at 7:30. So in terms of league table, Vissel Kobe is joint top with Machida Zelvia, but they're obviously just joint top, but they've got a greater goal difference. And then Kirshner in third position on 23 points, and FC Tokyo right behind them on fourth position with 22 points. So the bottom of the table, we have Hoikuro Konto Sapporo sitting in 8 points after 30 matches played. Kyoto Sanga 19th on 9 points, and then 18th and 17th position respectively. Sagan Tucson and Shunon Belmere, both with a -7 goal difference, and both get 11 points. So as you see, it's both tight at the top and the bottom half of the table. Yeah, so there's currently friendly schedule for Japan Summer 2024, which is set for the J League International Series, which will see Tokyo Verde versus Real Sociedad on the 29th of May. 24th of July, we'll see Cerezo Osaka host Borussia Dortmund. 27th of July, we'll see Vissel Kobe versus Tottenham Hotspur. 28th of July, we'll see Kyoto Sanga FC versus FC Stuttgart. 31st of July, we'll see Ura Diamonds host Newcastle United. And then on the 1st of August, we'll see Sanfrecce Hiroshima versus Stuttgart. And then on the 3rd of August, we'll see Yokohama F. Marinos versus Newcastle United and Vissel Kobe versus Stade Reims. So we're still waiting for Brighton's fixtures to be announced for this summer's Japan friendly matches. So Jesse Marsh has been appointed the new head coach of Canada Soccer men's national team. Marsh's contract as a new head coach of Canada will be valid until 2026, the end of the World Cup in 2026. It's a great appointment for Canada, but a massive setback for South Korea, as he was a #1 candidate to replace Jurgen Klinsmann. The KFA have offered salary, Marsh's salary of $2 million, but he wanted $3.5 million before taxes, similar to salary at Leeds United. But Marsh debated between Canada and South Korea. What tipped the scale for Canada Soccer was the financial support from the major domestic clubs to juice up the offer from Vancouver Whitecaps, CF Montreal and Toronto FC. Yeah, so also Inch United fans threw dozens of water bottles at FC Seoul players as tempers flared in a 2-1 defeat at the hands of the arch rivals in the Gyeongju derby. FC Seoul captain Ki Sun-young collapsed to the floor. He was struck by one of the water bottles as it happened in the nether regions. Inch United expected to be referred to the disciplinary committee due to their fans throwing water bottles at opposition players in their last game. So Inch United have now announced that they will be closing their home supporter zone for the next 2 home matches. They also announced that they would exclude those who threw water bottles at players from any legal action if they voluntarily reported themselves to the club. And that is all your latest Asian football news.
Thank you, Pearse, and thank you everyone for listening to this episode of the Football Chuggu Podcast. This podcast will be available to listen to on the Football Chuggu YouTube channel and also the Football Chuggu website. Thanks for listening and see you soon.
Bye-bye.